been traveling through the jungle, and I got to this part where I didn't know it's swampy. You know, the jungle, it changes all the time. There are storms that come and trees fall down, and you may not have a path, and you gotta clear your own path. And sometimes it rains and it floods, and you end up in the swamp. This is so gross. I wish I had used my map. You know, nowadays, everybody's got a map on their phone. When I was growing up, we had to go to the store and buy a paper map, and then we would highlight the route that we were going, and then we would go to this place called AAA, and they would give you a map already highlighted, and you just had to turn the page every time, and it would tell you exactly where to go. Those were the best things. But now we've got a map on our phone, and I should have used that in the jungle, because in the jungle it's always changing, and you get in the swamp and it's nasty. But if you ever been to the jungle, you would be wise if you took a guide. You know, some of my favorite memories are when my mom took us to Mexico, right? And we went to Mexico, and she found a tour guide for the day. And he took us snorkeling, and he took us to restaurants that we didn't know, and we just paid him for the day. And he took us to all these places, and it was so cool. And we would not have been able to get to those places, because there are places that everybody goes snorkeling, but he knew the places to go that nobody else knew. He knew the restaurants that were local that were really good. Right? And so in the jungle, there are no maps, no GPSs. You've got to find a guide to help you. Kind of reminds me of school, right? I know we just got done with school, and I bet you are so thankful, but you know what's awesome is teachers, because they help guide you where you need to go. They give you what you need to prepare for the test. How do you know what to do if you don't have a guide, if you don't have help? You end up in the swamp. Ugh. 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 Well, what does this have to do with our story today? I don't know, but let's find out. I gotta get clean. Ugh. So, I'm a little cleaned up now. Feels good to get out of the swamp. But what does that have to do with our story? You see, how do you navigate the jungle of life every day? How do you navigate the jungle of peer pressure? You know, people trying to get you to do things that you know you shouldn't. How do you navigate the jungle of, you know, cheating or lying or stealing? Things that you know you shouldn't. Well, today's story is going to come from 1 Kings. So let's go to 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 12. Chapter 12. And we're going to start at the beginning of the chapter. Because the jungles of life, we need help, right? We need God's help. So here's the story. Rehoboam, who was the king, went to Shechem, for all the Israelites had gone there to make him king. When Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard this, he was still in Egypt, where he had fled from King Solomon. He returned. So they sent for Jeroboam, and he went, and he and the whole assembly of Israel went to Rehoboam and said to him, "Your father put a heavy yoke on us. Now lighten the harsh labor." Rehoboam answered, "Go away for 3 days and then come back." So the people went away. So they had gone to the king to ask for help. "Hey, your dad, he made it hard on us. Can you take some of that away?" And Rehoboam the king said, "I don't know, let me think about it." Do you ever think about things before you make a decision? Then the king consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon. "How would you advise me to answer these people?" They replied, "If today you will be a servant to these people and serve them and give them a favorable answer, they will always remember." But Rehoboam rejected the advice the elders gave and consulted the young men who had grown up with him. He asked them, "What is your advice? How would you answer it?" The young men who had grown up with him replied, "Tell these people who have said to you, 'Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but make our yoke lighter.' Tell them, 'My finger is thicker than my father's waist,'" which means he's going to be harder. "I will make your yoke even heavier." 3 days later, Jeroboam and all the people returned to Rehoboam as the king had asked. The king answered the people harshly, rejecting the advice of the elders. He followed the advice of the young men and said, "My father made your yoke heavy. I will make it even heavier." Wow. So Rehoboam had 2 different sets of people he could listen to. Some that were elders, that were older, that were wiser. Some that were his own age, that hadn't experienced as much. And they gave him 2 different sets of advice. And which did he listen to? He listened to the ones his own age, not the ones who had more experience. Wonder what that means for us. Rehoboam was the king, and he had a choice to make. Who was he going to listen to? Have you ever seen those little cartoons where somebody's thinking and you've got on this shoulder a little picture of an angel trying to tell you what to do, and on this shoulder you got a picture of Bryce, the devil, trying to tell you what to do? And they're both talking to you, and you've got to figure out which one you're going to listen to. Are you going to listen to the angel, me? Or are you going to listen to the devil, Bryce? It's what Rehoboam was doing. He had 2 people talking to him. And sometimes we have different people talking to us. Like, we go and we know we're not supposed to do something, and one of our friends says, "Hey, it doesn't matter that your mom doesn't want you to go. It doesn't matter that your mom tells you not to watch that movie. It doesn't matter that your dad says you can't play that game. You're not old enough yet. You should do what we're doing because it's cool." Rehoboam kind of had the same thing. You should lighten it, because if you do, man, they're going to be indebted to you, and they're going to love you, and they're going to think you're the best. Man, you shouldn't do anything, because you should make it worse just because they're asking. Man, God gives us all kinds of people to help us make decisions. I'm 44 years old. I'm old. And I still go ask people to help me when I have a decision to make. There are a couple people that I ask all the time. One is my dad. I'll call my dad and I'll say, hey, what do you think? Because my dad looks at things differently than me. He's experienced more than me. Another guy his name is Bob, and he was the guy who helped me get into ministry. And he's about 25 years older than me, and he is somebody that I call every time I have a question. Sometimes I'll call people my own age too. I've got a friend that I went to seminary with, and we kind of see things the same way. And so it's, how does this impact me as a church person, as a minister, as a leader? He can help me with that. But there are people that God puts all around us that are wiser than us. It's because we've experienced more. And I know when I'm 13, 14, 15, I think I know everything. And some of you fifth graders think you know everything too. I was right there. But the older I get, the more I say that I don't know very much. And Rehoboam was kind of that way. He didn't know very much. But he didn't even know who to listen to. So when we have choices to make, decisions to make, we need to find wise counsel, people that are older than us that can help us, people that have experienced more that can help us, like our teachers at school. Or Carter, my oldest, he's been trying to get stronger, right? That's been his goal. The last 2 years, he's tried to put on about 65 pounds of muscle, right? And I know a little bit about weightlifting because I lifted weights when I was in high school and had coaches that helped me. But I didn't know enough to help him. And so we had to take him and find him somebody who did know about it. And this guy, his name is Mark DiNardo, and he's got a place here in town, but he doesn't just know about weightlifting, he knows about strength training. So there are all kinds of different things that he does, and Carter's got a list of what he does every day for every 2 weeks, and he'll go in there and he'll lift some days, and some days he'll run, and some days he's doing set-ups, and some days he's doing just core work, and it's all to make him stronger. And you know what? He's been able to put on the weight that he wanted to in muscle. There's always somebody wiser than us. So who are you going to listen to when you have a decision to make? Are you going to listen to me? Or are you going to listen to Bryce? Are you going to listen to your elders that have experienced more? Or are you going to listen to your friends that say, hey, it doesn't matter what your mom says. It doesn't matter what your dad says. You need to go to the people who are wise to help you make decisions. And that's the lesson from our unexplored story in the Bible. Where do you go for help? Well, I ended up in the swamp today. I wonder where we'll be next week. Maybe we'll be here. Maybe we'll be here. Maybe we'll end up here. Or maybe, just maybe, we'll be here. I can't wait to find out.